Hi, and welcome to today's class. Today's class is about passive voice. I am going to explain what it is, how do we use it, how do we form it, and everything you need to know about passive voice. Okay, so let's get this started. In general, we tend to use the active voice. That is when a subject does an action to an object. Remember that when I say object, I refer to a grammar object, not to a thing, okay? Here we have the active voice example. He stole my purse. We want to know who stole the purse, so he is the subject, stole is the verb or the action, and my purse is the object. Okay, so the verb goes to the subject because he stole, my purse is the object. When do we use passive voice? It is used when we want to emphasize the action or the verb and the object of a sentence rather than the subject. Here, the subject is not as important as the object or the action. Or sometimes, in some cases, we don't know who or what the subject is. For example, in this sentence is the same sentence as the other one, but in this case, we don't have a subject. Here it says, my purse was stolen. We don't know who did the action, but now we know that my purse was stolen. In this case, my purse is now the subject. The object in the active voice is the subject in the passive voice. I will explain this little by little later. My purse now, the action is that it was stolen. Okay? Compare active and passive voices. Here is an example of an active voice. Many people know Napa Valley for its excellent wines. The same sentence, but in passive voice, would be like this. Napa Valley is known for its excellent wines. As you can see, here you have many people is the subject, know is the verb, Napa Valley for its excellent wines is the object. In the passive voice, the object goes to the subject, Napa Valley. Know is a verb in present, so we use this in present, is known for its excellent wines. Here we don't have a subject here. We don't have by who, because it is not important. I will explain this little by little, don't worry. Another example. Someone killed 20 civilians in the bomb explosion. The passive voice would be 20 civilians were killed in the bomb explosion. Okay? So here, the object is 20 civilians in the bomb explosion. So we start our passive voice with that. 20 civilians were killed in the bomb explosion. What is an agent and how does the passive voice work? I need you to pay attention very much to this slide, and I want you to write this in your notebook. When we know who the subject is, we put it at the end with by, and this is what we call an agent. For example, the Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. In this case, Leonardo da Vinci is our agent. This example is in passive voice. Okay? So, the active voice would be Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. Why? Because here we have who painted the Mona Lisa. Okay? So here the most important thing is who did the action, and here the most important thing is what was made, or what was in this case painted. Here, Leonardo da Vinci is the subject in the active voice, but goes to the agent in the passive voice. Painted is a verb in past in the active voice. In the passive voice, now it is also the verb, but in past. We have to respect the tense, past and past. And the Mona Lisa here in the active voice is an object which goes as a subject now in the active voice. Okay? How do we use the passive voice? The passive voice is often used to report something or state a fact. For example, most stores are closed due to coronavirus. Number 2, the car was washed yesterday and the flowers are grown in Atlisco. Here you are reporting something. You are reporting that most of the stores now are closed. Here you are saying a fact. The car was washed yesterday. And this is another fact. Flowers are grown in Atlisco. Okay? How do we form the passive voice? The passive voice is not a tense. Each tense has its own passive voice, which is created by using the form of the auxiliary verb to be in the tense that we want to use and the past participle of the verb. If you check the previous examples, you will notice that you have always the auxiliary verb to be and the verb in past participle. We call it verb tree because if you remember, at the end of your book you have a list of verbs and the third column is the one that is the past participle. That's verb 3. We are going to focus only in present and past simple because the other tenses are a little bit more complicated for us now. So we are going to focus only in present and past simple. So we are going to use am, is or are because that's the verb to be in present. Am for I, is for he, she, it, and are for you, we, and they. And in this case, we have the verb make, which the past participle is made. For example, wine is made from grapes. Many cars are made in Japan. And in past simple, we have the same auxiliary verb, but in this case it's was and were because it's in past. Was for I, he, she, it, and were for you, we, and they. And in this case, we're going to use the verb invited. John was invited to speak at the conference, and we were invited to Daniel's and Mary's wedding. Remember, present and past. So, what do we have to do before forming the passive voice with the sentences? Normally, in an exam, teachers are going to give you the active voice, and you have to transform it to passive voice. First, what you need to do is to identify the elements in the active voice. For example, teenagers buy fashion magazines. Let's imagine that this is your sentence. So you have teenagers buy fashion magazines. What do you have to do first? You have to identify the subject, the verb, and in what tense is it, and then you have to check which one is the object. Okay? Then you have to form the passive voice. Remember, for the passive voice, the object now becomes the subject. So we write first fashion magazines. The verb goes in the same place, but in this case, the verb in present. Remember that we use the auxiliary verb to be in present, so we have to write the verb to be and buy in past participle, which is bought. Teenagers is they, so we have to write are bought. And then the subject, which becomes the agent, by teenagers. Okay? And then you have to check your answer. Fashion magazines are bought by teenagers. It's not that complicated once you understand it. Here are some exercises that you can do in your notebook before doing the other exercises that I'm going to ask you to do. Here are the exercises for this presentation. 1. Most women appreciate shoes. 2. Luke wears loose clothes. 3. Some people do not accept changes. 4. We stopped the bus. 5. He wrote 4 compositions in 2 months. Now, I suggest you to pause the video before checking your answers. Pause the video and then do your activities. Answer this in passive voice and then play the video again. Thank you for stopping the video. Now let's check your answers. Answers for the first one. Shoes are appreciated by most people, by most women, sorry. I put this in parentheses because the agent is not always important, okay? So we can eliminate it. And I wrote are appreciated because it's in present simple. Number 2, Lou's clothes are worn by Luke. In this case, wears is in present simple, that's why I wrote are worn. Changes are not accepted by some people. Are not because do not accept is in present simple. The bus was stopped by us. Stopped is in past, so that's why I wrote was stopped. And number 5, he wrote for compositions in 2 months is 2 compositions were written, past, in 2 months by him. Here are the sources where I took this information. If you want to click on the links and you want to have, it's basically the same information, I just mix it with some ideas that I have. So, thank you very much. This is the end of the class. I'll see you next time. And remember, if you have any question, don't hesitate to send me a message. Bye-bye.